Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be taking a look at my Microtech collection. Microtech has always have a good spot in my collection. I've always enjoyed their knives, their knife designs. As you can see, I got some manuals up here, some autos, as well as some fixed blades. Let's jump right in. First one I want to talk about is the Microtech Amphibian. This does have a recurved blade on it. This has the black G10 handles. It's got good ergonomics. I really like it in hand. It's definitely fits the bill for large knives, which I prefer. And it's even ambidextrous in terms of being able to flip the pocket clip to the other side. It's using what they call the ram lock. And I got this one in early December of 2023. And I paid $326 for this. I got this from EK Knives. They do charge tax, so it was $300 before tax. I do like it. Recurves do make me a little more hesitant, only because of sharpening. It's a little more challenging to sharpen recurves, at least from my experience. I'm not speaking for it in general, but this does have M390MK, which I believe is a unique variant of M390 that's made just for Microtech. Give you a close up. It's got that apocalyptic stonewash. Yeah, I've carried this a bit. I think they did a good job with the clip. It's a little stiff, so something to keep in mind if you're thinking about this knife. Excuse me. Yeah, all around great folder. It's done well. It's a little bit thick behind the edge, so I wouldn't consider this knife for a slicer if that is your goal in terms of using this as a tool for those purposes. It's got good action, drop shut when you release the lock. Functions very similar to a axis lock or a crossbar lock, except for the mechanics of it slightly different. Axis lock has springs on this side. How, if you can imagine this being translucent, it comes through and clips to the bottom back right here. See on this side. This has a spring right there, as you can see. All right. Next, let's talk about the MSI, which stands for Microtech Standard Issue. I really liked how they did the naming for that because the MSI, the M references Microtech, right? And then it kind of gives you that sense like, oh, this is like a flagship model for Microtech. I wouldn't agree that it's a flagship model in any sense. This is strictly my opinion. However, I do like the way they did that. So when you think about MSI, Microtech is in the name of the acronym. This guy has a, I want to say sheep's foot more so than a Warncliffe blade shape. This is that natural aluminum look. These are aluminum handles, and the finish is like the natural aluminum, natural clear. I think that's what they call it. So I picked this one up. Oh, actually, well, it's natural gray is what it's stated. At least that's how I documented this. And this is also M390MK. And I got this one. This would have been $300 as well. I got this one as well from EK Knives, and yeah, I paid a little bit more because there's tax. So, but then I also had kind of a they have a rewards program, so I was a little bit save a little bit. This would have been the same as the Amphibian in terms of price with tax. This also has a fully ambidextrous handle. You swap the clip to the other side, And if you were left-handed, it's be easy to manipulate the lock to close it. It's got those thumb holes. This doesn't spidey flick that well, just because it's a heavier blade and the detent's a little bit, well, I don't know if the right term is to say it's soft, because the detent's different than when you would think of a detent from a frame lock, where the detent ball sits in the hole deep enough, you can create a stronger detent. However, with the ram lock, it doesn't feel the same because you can actually shake the knife out. So, not that I open my knives that way, but something to note. This also has that stonewash. I don't know if this is apocalyptic. I want to say yes because it looks just like the Amphibian. I do like it. It's two-tone. It's got a satin flats right here. I've been enjoying this so far. I plan to put this particular one through some testing, only because I feel confident once I dull it, I'll be able to sharpen it a lot easier than the Amphibian. So I do have a testing series. I've done one with 2 different Spydercos, and this MSI is on the list. I want to check out what M390 MK can do. And they have other variants of this, just as the same as the Amphibian, but since we're on this one, a lot of the models I saw that came out were the polymer handles. I decided to wait for something more substantial, so to speak. So I waited for the aluminum version. And I do like this a lot. I haven't handled the polymer version, so I can't make a comparison in terms of the feel in the hand, the durability. But I'm glad I waited for the aluminum. Feels very sturdy. Feels good in hand. There's a bit of a hot spot right there and right there. All right. Next one, I have Socom. I've got 2 Socoms, but I'll talk about this one first. This is what I would refer to as a plain Jane. And this is the plain edge, no serrations, obviously. And this one I picked up, let's see. Well, this is actually called a Socom Elite. My apologies. And I got this March of 2023. This was 320, and I can't remember where I got this from. Interesting. The Microtech Socom Elite is my favorite manual model. Yeah, I'm gonna say that confidently. Well, I can also back that up with having 2 Socom Elites versus anything else that's on here, and it's great. It's got a glass breaker on the back. All right, it is tip down, carry only, and I mean for the most part, this is meant to be a right-hand carry, but it works well. It kind of reminds me of how they designed the Spyderco military. Right, as soon as you withdraw the blade, you put it in hand, your thumb is already at the thumb stud. Now, if you imagine those tip down, tip up, as you're grabbing it out, you got to reorientate your hand to be able to get to the thumb stud. I know there's debate about tip down, tip up carries, but I believe Microtech did a good job with the Socom Elite in the way they designed it. So the only thing I'm kind of like flustered about is there's just so many body screws on this thing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is probably, well, no, that's for the body. Because the blade stop really happens with the thumb studs right here. So they act as blade stops. I know some people have modded the Socom Elite and made it a tip up carry. I have sharpened this one up, and it sharpens up nicely. It's just got a basic drop point blade shape. Yeah, this is my favorite model from a manual standpoint from Microtech is using I refer to as skateboard tape, but that's what it reminds me of. There might be a different terminology for it. And it's aluminum handled. I like it. It feels better in hand than the MSI, even more so than a Amphibian. Even though Amphibian's up there too, it's got good ergonomics. So we're not moving to a new model in any way, but this is also the Microtech Socom Elite, and this one is the Shadow. So let me see. I picked this one up in July of 2024 for 430 about $432. I got this from NC Blade. I do shop there quite often. I like that they don't charge tax yet, but based on my experience in e-commerce, as soon as they get to a certain revenue goal or threshold, they will start charging tax by state. So something to keep in mind, but they are currently not charging tax. But this is a Socom Elite Shadow. It's basically a completely sterile blade, no markings on it. It's DLC coated. It's also using the aluminum handle with skateboard grip tape. And they've got a signature on the side. So the Shadow is essentially the signature series. It's numbered right there, 281. There's not too much else that's different between this and the regular Socom. Blade shape is pretty much the same. I can't remember the steel. Let me see. I've jotted this down as M390. So both of these are M390 steel. The price point is, however, a solid $100+ different. $100 plus difference between the Shadow and the non Shadow, which is the non-signature series as well. But I picked it up because I really like the way Microtech does the DLC. Yeah. Otherwise, not too different. So if you're thinking about getting one, I would just go for the plain Jane. Get a nice stonewash version. Same steel. No DLC. No signature on the clip, but you know, the minor differences between these, I think. All right, before we'll leave the fixed blades for last, but let's jump into the Combat Troodon. So I got this is the Ghostbusters edition, I suppose. I guess you can call that. And this one I picked up. Let's see, December of 2023. I got this one for $750. It's a lot of money. Not gonna lie. The Troodon, I think, from what I recall, I want to say it's around the $500 range for our standard Combat Troodon. But I grew up watching Ghostbusters. Oh, jeez, I'm totally fumbling my words. Apologies there. I grew up watching Ghostbusters, and when I saw this pop up, I very intrigued. Had to go and grab one. To my knowledge, these are no longer being produced, but they could come out later on. Currently, I don't see it available online. This is using the dagger grind, so both sides are sharpened. It's got the fuller in the middle. A lot of nice details. All the green you see is what they refer to as the ectoplasm from the movie. In Ecto 1, I believe that references the car in Ghostbusters. Needless to say, I do not carry this very often. For one, I live in a state where out the front autos or any autos under with a blade that's over 2 inches is illegal to carry. Not illegal to own, but illegal to carry in public. So I don't really carry this. It's more of a collection piece. However, if I could carry this, I absolutely would. Just not the type of person who, though I have a collection of knives, I'm more than happy to carry my knives and use them. It doesn't stop me unless for compliance reasons. They did a beautiful job with this, in my opinion. I love the Ghostbusters symbol right there. And the steel on this, I want to say, is M390 as well. It's your glass breaker. And if you're not familiar with how the clips work on out the fronts, typically if you see it held on like this, you can just loosen up the glass breaker and swap the clip to the other side. So in case that's something you weren't familiar with. Yeah. Next up, we have the Scarab 2. This one I picked up, let's see. And this is the shadow version, by the way. So this one I got in mid-February of 2022 for $643. I got this from Knife Center, so there was tax involved with this. Oh, maybe not. This might have been before they started charging tax. I can't quite remember, but love the all black look to it. Again, it's got the aluminum chassis, grip tape. It's got the Scarab insignia right there. Completely sterile blade, DLC. This is a drop point version. It's got your glass breaker on the back. And that's when I had this, when I first got it, there was a bit of a small, tiny little gap between the pocket clip and the handle. So I did loosen it up, pop the clip off, and I maneuvered it a little bit, manipulated it so that way it sat flush with the handle, so it wouldn't make a tapping sound. And I like the Scarab 2 a lot more than the Combat Troodon. As you can see, the slide is a lot wider on the Scarab 2 versus the Combat Troodon. For me, it makes it a lot easier to deploy and retract. See, for some reason, I might get some flack for this, but I don't think after a while I don't have the thumb strength to retract these, um, especially the Combat Troodon. I know the Gen 3s that recently came out. I've read about how they're a lot easier with the new drivetrain it has for you to be able to deploy and retract. But I really enjoyed the Scarab 2. That's almost a HAZDAC technology. It can be a little bit tough still when you're retracting, but it's a lot easier than the Combat Troodon. I'm hearing a little bit of, I wonder if this is loose. Anyways, I might have to tighten that up later. Okay. Anyways, Scarab 2 Shadow, awesome. And what I really like about this is it uses Torx screws for the hardware rather than the proprietary Microtech tool on the Combat Troodon. It's also have a very unique sound, especially on the retracting. I love the way it sounds. So it is making a little bit of noise. Anywho, let me move on. Next up, we have the Microtech Stitch. This is, I don't know if this is an exclusive, special variation, whatever it may be. However, I haven't seen this one in a long time. This is also aluminum handled. I got this one for $403. I had a bit of a discount, so I got it from Knife Center. This was back in 2018, late April of 2018. It's got OD green for the aluminum handle, the finish. It's a black stone wash on the blade. Off the side, auto. And I will say it's not that snappy, I think primarily because of the weight. But then I think possibly it hasn't really loosened up enough, which is good because there's no, well, actually there's a smidge of blade play on this now, but not enough for me to try to, tune it or anything. So this also uses Torx hardware, which is great. Again, I appreciate that. If you've seen some of my other videos, I am not a fan of unique pivot tools, right? If I need a special tool to take your knife apart, that's okay, fine. But then I should be able to, send it in to you. You should cover the shipping, right? That's just my opinion, right? And maybe I'm just making a big deal out of nothing, but I appreciate when companies use standard tool bits to be able to disassemble the knife or adjust it, right? If I'm not fully taking it apart, but I just want to tighten the pivot, I don't want to go and purchase a unique pivot tool for your knife. So, anywho, I actually stay away from Ultratechs and Combat Troodons for that reason. I used to have an Ultratech, ended up selling it, but I only got this one because of the Ghostbusters theme. Otherwise, I wouldn't have picked up a Combat Troodon. I can't recall if the newer gens are using the Torx bits for the hardware, but if they are, kudos. If not, boo. But I've had this for a while. M390 steel, as you can see. I really like this. I don't carry it, right? Because it's not legally. I can't legally carry it in my state because it's over 2 inches in blade length and it's an automatic. So I just enjoy it every so often when I'm at home, which is sad. I hope they change the laws here in the state soon, but not gonna hold my breath. All right, next up, we're gonna get to the fixed blades now. This one is the Feather. This is a collaboration between Microtech and Bastinelli. I think Sebastian Bastinelli, from what I recall. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is cool because it comes with a discrete customs carry clip, which I really enjoy. Because as soon as you get it, depending on the width of your belt, as soon as you get it over, it snaps in. And it's very easy to deploy the knife from inside your waistband, which is how I carry this. I would say I wear this the most as a secondary, and really it's just for a peace of mind. I am not somebody who is experienced in knife fighting. I don't plan to in my lifetime ever to knife fight. Um, but I mean, if it was life and death and I had to protect my family, I will pull this out, swing for my life while my family got away. So that is the last resort out of a pipe dream. Well, not so much a dream, right? I really wouldn't want to dream about being in that situation, but that's something that would be an absolute last resort. Um, but it's very cool. It's very comfortable in hand. It tracks really easily because of the ring. As soon as you grab it in there, you pop it out. The retention strength from the sheath is very well done. I've had quite a bit of fixed blades where some are either too loose and just it doesn't really even hold the knife in there, or it's so stiff that you're yanking out your belt before it pops open. But I really like the way they did it. I've actually really never test cut it. This feels sharp enough. I wouldn't go and cut cardboard or slice paper with this, or even shave hair. But yeah, really cool. I really like it. This is part of my most carried fixed blade in terms of, from a self-defense perspective, so to speak. Do I have this right? Is that right? Okay, here we go. Yeah. So very cool. I picked this one up in, let's see. Oh, my computer screen keeps going to sleep mode. Late February of 2022, and I got this for $220. Um, no regrets whatsoever. I do love how it feels in hand. I love how slim. As soon as you put it away inside waistband, it kind of disappears. You can feel on the side of your pocket because the sheath does go down, so you will feel this portion of it, but it's very minimal and really not obtrusive in any way. So I do like the Feather. I know Bastinelli has a lot of different kind of hidden blades that you can carry inside waistband, and I've always been a fan of Bastinelli knives. This is the only one I've ever gotten. However, hopefully in the future I do pick up some of his knives as well. But the Feather, Microtech, collabo with Bastinelli, most carried. All right, let's get to the last knife I have here, which is the Socom Alpha Mini. This is a carbon fiber sheath. It's got that tech lock on the back. The retention is really strong though, so listen carefully. Well, really strong is probably relative. It's compared to the ones I have, it feels a lot more. The retention strength on the sheath is a lot stiffer, but it does feel good in hand. And this is the Outbreak variant, so it's kind of got this rustic look stonewash on the blade. It's got that green with splatter of blood on the handles. It's a full tank design. It's got a lanyard hole on the back. Again, it's using proprietary hardware. Not that I plan to take out the handles, but if I wanted to, I would now need to go get a proprietary tool or makeshift something at home to try to mimic the hole pattern so I can twist it open. Hopefully that never happens. I don't foresee it happening anytime soon, so not a big deal. But again, I mean, torque screws would have been fine, right? Anywho, let's get back to the knife. Feels really good in hand. This is a draw point. Blade is M390. It's got that Outbreak insignia they put on the blade. Really cool. I love how Microtech does create these unique themes on their knives. So kudos to them on that. I think they have the Outbreak for a lot of their models. The one I really wanted actually was the Amphibian was one. My buddy ended up getting that. But yeah, it does feel great in hand. I've had a chance to really use this, but only I carry a lot of my fixed blades with discrete concepts carry clips right here. Well, I'm just gonna call it DCC because in my mind I'm confusing either it's discrete concepts carry or discrete carry concepts. So I apologize for that. I just refer to it as DCC in my mind, but I carry a lot of fixed blades with this type of clip. However, tech locks not so much, and I haven't really had a chance to carry this, but I do want to put this to use. And this is a very modest size fixed blade. Might go well if you have a smaller folder on you. Awesome though. It's beautiful. Definitely caught my eye when I saw this. And I picked this one up in January 2024, actually. Yeah, so about a year ago. And paid $334. This was from NC Blade as well. So I did have some rewards on there, so it was slightly cheaper, but retail would have been $334 and some change. Awesome little fixed blade. All right. Well, that concludes my Microtech collection overview. It's modest in my opinion because there's a lot of Microtech models. I've had an Ultra Tech. I've checked out a Mini Troodon. Lots of cool designs from Microtech. I used to have a DOC, which I sold long time ago. Kind of regret that, but one of the things I'm looking out for is a Socom double action. I think some different models are double actions as well. Anywho, I'm going off tangent again, so just wanted to showcase some of my Microtech knives in the collection. Let me know if you want to see any in-depth reviews on any of these. Happy to do it. I have a lot of first impressions on most of these, I believe. So I will link whatever I can in the description. So check below. Um, yeah. Again, I really appreciate you tuning in. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day and stay frosty.